Last week it was announced that Glossier is launching into Mecca. And if you're anything like me, your 12-year-old self is freaking out. But why now, and what does this mean for Glossier? Okay, so for those outside of Australia, it's important to note that Glossier has only been shipping to Australia for about 7 months. And this made zero sense because if you go into the comment section of just about any post on Glossier's Instagram, you would find countless Aussies begging for the brand to come here. So why did it take so long? In Marissa Meltzer's book, Glossy, the now CEO of Glossier, Carl Leahy, said, "We're not a tech company, we're not a D2C company. D2C is a channel, it's not a value proposition." If you're familiar with Emily Weiss Law, you know how bold of a statement that is from Kyle. Because for years and years, while Emily, the founder and former CEO, was at the helm of the brand, she spoke endlessly about the need for Glossier to be a D2C company and how they were a tech company, but that's a whole other conversation. Glossier launched and grew at a similar time to Casper and Warby Parker. And this D2C almost movement was really at its peak. The general consensus was this is how you must build brands moving forwards. People are bored of mass retailers and they crave the experience that D2C brands are able to offer by owning the entire customer journey. But the less spoken of benefit of starting and growing a D2C company is that launching a D2C brand is far, far cheaper and easier to do than more traditional models, which of course was the appeal to these earlier adopters. But what these founders perhaps failed to realize was that if it was easier and cheaper for them, the same would be true for their competitors. Glossier has grown to the size that it is by being bloody iconic, but also having been the first. They owned effortless natural makeup and really paved the way for this lo-fi type of Instagram content that at the time it was so refreshing. But this was nearly 10 years ago. And they did it so well that they've now set that as the bar, as the standard. So there are countless other brands that kind of serve that same customer now. So this could no longer be their core value proposition. Post Glossier having their crisis, it seems as though the strategy shifted to just start being available everywhere their customers were. They had a huge following, both nationally in the US and internationally. The first step was to launch into Sephora in the US. And then Sephora in the UK, and now Mecca in Australia. Will shopping for Glossier at a mass retailer like Mecca dilute the experience? Yes. But do people care enough to not buy it? Of course not. Glossier launching into Mecca and not continuing their Sephora alliance reflects some really clever negotiating for conversations around exclusivity. But what does this launch mean for Mecca? And what does this tell us about the state of Australian beauty? You have to watch part 2 to find out.